and welcome to The Digital Dilemma, where I help business owners and chief executive officers cut through the tech confusion that holds their companies back. I am Nick Dreyfus, and today we're tackling a hidden profit drain: overly complex computer networks. Think of your network like a highway system with too many on-ramps, dead ends, and toll booths, and everything grinds to a halt. Every minute your people sit waiting on a network jam is 1 minute of lost revenue. Over the next few minutes, I'll help you spot the signs of a tangled network, walk you through 6 plain language questions to assess your steps, and share quick steps to restore speed, security, and uptime. Now, when I say network complexity, I don't just mean how many devices you have. It's the total of every unmanaged switch, undocumented security rule, forgotten piece of equipment, and one-off tunnels, which we just build up over the years. Each extra layer adds a potential failure point. The more tangled your architecture, the longer it takes to diagnose outages, and the higher chance that a routine update sparks a full-blown crisis. Grab a notepad. I want you to answer each of these 6 questions honestly about your network. After each question, I'll give you key talking points you can reference. But let's just start with the first one. How many separate devices do we rely on to keep things running, and could one of them become a failure point? Oftentimes we find that in the industry, we'll go into a client and really look at what they have on their infrastructure and diagnose, wow, this isn't typical for a network of, let's say, your size or employee type. And sometimes there's some answers for some of the equipment. But I would say more times than not, we come into a network and the amount of devices and or especially servers, which we'll get into later, end up being way too high. And it can be consolidated into a much smaller, more tight-knit group, and allowing for higher reliability, productivity, and of course, less downtime, which allows your team to just work more effectively and not have to reach out to IT so much, which increases morale from the entire team. Now, single-purpose appliances often have multiple failure points. One device failure can block critical workflows, and longer repair times add up, driving downtime costs. Now, question 2, are we using more than 2 or 3 different systems to direct how our data travels? Now, this is always an interesting one when we get into a client and we start having that conversation of how are they working and why? Because oftentimes what we find is their CRM tool do not integrate with, let's say, their accounting system, and it doesn't integrate with their, let's say, ERP system or other systems. And oftentimes we find that we can make 1 or 2 phone calls to each of these third-party vendors, make one connection happen, and boom, that entire team can spend less time doing the manual labor from one to the other, and now they're just working more efficiently. It can sometimes cut down as much as 10, 15, and 20 hours a week. And sometimes we've seen organizations have 3, 4, 5 employees doing this. And if it were to cut down 10 hours a week for 5 people, it's like hiring a whole extra person. So multiple rule sets complicate troubleshooting and makes it difficult for us in IT to actually truly help quickly for your team. Each system needs specialized knowledge, so it allows for protocol sprawl, which leads to misconfiguration. So the IT team has a much more difficult time diagnosing, managing, and updating exactly what was done last time to then know what the fix is for next time, because everything is just everywhere. Now, question 3, can someone explain in under 5 minutes how one of our offices connects to the internet? This is a great question for most of the teams that we have with internal IT, because oftentimes we find out that the network was truly built over a decade ago by people that no longer work there. And then you see Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid, and no wonder why IT has to be called in every other day to fix a switch, a this, a that, a server, patch point. and something constantly needs to be rebooted or changed because the infrastructure is not working as it should, because it needs to be either rebuilt or just built with the current network and the way things should be done currently today. So tangled explanations are a red flag, right? If someone can't clearly explain exactly how a separate office, a remote location can connect to the internet because there's too many weaves and ways to get in, which is no wonder why you have a gig network coming in, but you run your speed tests and they're a 62, which just happened to us with a potential client we're talking to right now. Their internet connection is, they're paying for a ton and they're getting almost none. So having a clear overview of speeds and incident response can help with that. Avoid over-reliance on a single guru, because then it becomes a problem where typically if there's just one person that knows the network and that person invariably goes on vacation, we have to call them in on a random Wednesday and they're just trying to enjoy time with their family. This is not a good idea, right? We want anybody that within a few weeks of jumping into the organization as an IT person could look up the notes and quickly diagnose, oh, this is most likely, it's these three things. Let me troubleshoot these three things. Now, sometimes you do have to leverage that guru. And yes, they are always going to know what systems and how things work are inside of that network. Sometimes you need that person and those situations happen, but those should be few and far between. Maybe 2 or 3 times a year should you have to leverage that quote unquote guru, not 5 times a week. That is over reliance on that person and it stresses them out and their quality of life will go down. They will truly be much happier by having the team not always have to bear down with them. So question 4, how many times in the last year did your routine updates or change cause an unexpected outage? This is a fantastic one because what we find is that networks aren't truly being patched and updated together. Oftentimes we'll find we just run a quick, simple health check. And in that health check, no less than 20 or 30% of the organization's devices haven't been updated in 6+ months. So no wonder why you have 20 to 30% of your team constantly calling into IT because Microsoft patch came out or QuickBooks or Sage or any of these applications that your organization uses and things don't work. Well, they don't work because it's not patched and updated, allowing for the security layers to work together, allowing for Adobe to work, allowing for all these different programs to work in conjunction because they all have to be at the right level in order for the organization to function properly and not have to constantly involve IT. So frequent downtime after updates signals a brittle design and something that's the organization needs to look at to improve substantially. Maintenance should be predictable and not disruptive. Again, going back to what I just said, if regular maintenance causes problems and you can only update on weekends after 6 o'clock because otherwise you have all this downtime and you'd rather spend it on a Saturday with IT sitting in your organization all day Saturday and Sunday and then cross their fingers for Monday morning when everybody comes in and it's working. That's just overly complex network. That doesn't mean networks shouldn't work like that. That is absolutely incorrect. Fire drills drain IT's morale and inflate costs, absolutely unnecessary. In 2025, going into 2026, networks should be absolutely completely predictable and not complex at all, right? It is very rare. We work with a client. I'll give you a quick example that we've had clients where they have switches all over the place. And just by putting them in the MPO and putting in proper switches, raised their internet speeds. And it also gave that entire network a failure point of just a couple of switches. And once they were properly daisy chained, now we don't have all this network traffic going all over the place with unmanaged switches is back in a back office. And that's why printing isn't working. So question 5. How long does it take us to set up a new office or connect a new software service? This one is absolutely incredible. We've got a client that their previous IT they'd been with their previous IT for a decade. And it got to the point that even recently, just before we took over, they could never add more than one office per year. Well, this was stunting their growth. And they just thought, gosh, there has to be a better way that we do business. There's no way we can only add one office a year. That's stunting our growth. We're literally falling on millions of dollars every single time we open up a new office. So this client, within 3 months, was able to start opening offices as often as monthly. So in 1 year, about a year and a half, they were able to open six new locations, something they wouldn't have dreamed of and would have taken 6 years. And we were able to do it in less than two, right? Again, we took something that was overly complex and brought it down to a very reliable, managed situation in which they can grow very, very quickly, and their costs actually went down, not up. So weeks instead of hours slows down growth. Manual scripts hamper repeated reliability, and templates drive faster revenue. This helps an organization grow and grow fast when you need to, because you don't know when that iron or that kettle gets hot, when you have to strike, right? It could be at any moment that your organization goes viral. Are you ready to go viral right now? Are you truly ready that if something were to happen and a market changed and your organization isn't fully prepared to double or triple overnight? If you can't say no to that question, you're overly complex with your IT, and that is not good. 2025, you should be able to grow 6 to 10 to 20 times in a year just by making a few small changes. And none of these, I'm going to tell you that change, that organization that I'm telling you about, that took a weekend for us to unband-aid all of the solutions that they had. We're not talking about a 6-month overhaul. We're talking about an overhaul of a complex network that, yes, most would have taken probably a month or two to perform. Our organization, our operations team is absolutely unbeatable. They did the entire process in less than 72 hours. Number six, question six. Do we have many physical servers in our office? And what happens if power or internet goes out? So this is the main one that I really wanted to touch on, because we had a client that was being told by their current IT of about 15, 20 years with them that they needed new servers all the time. Every time they asked for something new, it was constantly, oh, we need to add another server. Well, when you have managed IT, they make more money every time you add another server. This makes it so it's really expensive, because now you have to manage the server, patches and updates. It's one more failure point. It's one more thing that you need to add on. At some point, you'll need to add another physical server. It's just really cost prohibitive, because now you have to worry about backups and patches and updates and connectivity, integration, which is just an absolute nightmare for any IT person. So what we're referring to with this is we have a client that we picked up. They had 11 physical servers. We turned that into 4 servers and then put those servers acting in their format in those 4 cloud servers. So they saved over $2,000 in just server costs by making that change. And again, we were able to make that change in less than a week. Their entire infrastructure went into the cloud, and they went from 11 physicals down to 4, and all of their solutions perform better in every sense of the world. And they were able to grow substantially because of the way we built their organization. So on-site servers are vulnerable to local failures. Cloud data centers offer backup power and internet. This way, if your internet goes out, if your power goes out in your organization, you can just have your entire team go to the local Starbucks, coffee shop, go home and work remotely, and they're still going to be able to connect up to the cloud. Yes, we may have to set some new VPN rules from everybody's home so they can have that direct connection, but you're going to be prepared for that. And that's just everybody running home, calling in and saying, here's my static IP at home. We make that connection and boom, it's done. It's just a total change in mindset. Decreasing the complexity is going to increase that reliability, productivity, and morale. So cloud migration boosts security, continuity, and agility for that business, making it so, yeah, if you're in a 1,000 square foot workspace today, and you find that your team is less and less coming into the office, why not downsize that location or move to another location that's more cost effective? And with the cloud, you can do that. You open up ISP service at the new location and put a equivalent firewall in, have IT configure it. Everybody just picks up their stuff, moves their laptops and docks to the new location. Boom, they're up and working. That's it. With live hard infrastructure, you would have to take down the old location and bring up the new one. So nobody can work at the old office once the new servers move to the new office. So you can't have a hybrid. Well, in our model, if it took a month or 2 months or 3 months for people to move from one location to the next, no big deal. You could have half your team working in the old office and half your team working in the new office, and it doesn't matter. It's totally okay. With the old way of doing it, non-prem solutions, it's more difficult to make that work with real continuity and speed. So let's turn to diagnosis with 5 immediate steps and longer term roadmaps. So inventory and map everything. Automatically discover every device and retire unused hardware. I can't stress how vital that's going to be for every network to make sure that you are validating what you need and what you do not need. Consolidate functions. Replace stacks of single-purpose devices with unified edge appliances or software-defined wide area network services. Number 3, standardize your rules. Adopt one documented approach for routing and security. Reuse templates across sites. That helps increase reliability, adaptability, and the fact that anybody can join in the IT team and they can do it. And you're not relying on one person to do all the work. And then, of course, when they're not there, something pops up. It's not fair to that particular IT person. Shift to the cloud. Migrate servers and critical applications to cloud providers with built-in redundancy so your team stays online during local power outages and internet outages. Now, not every piece of equipment can automatically go to the cloud. I'm not going to tell you that everything can go to the cloud. There is some things that will always work better locally, but what you can move to the cloud, which is an absolute ton, even most organizations, at minimum, 80% of their infrastructure should be in the cloud and will perform better, have more security, have more reliability, better continuity, everything, check, with moving to the cloud. It is very rare that organizations have to have or will have value in local on-prem. This is typically vertical driven, and there are certain verticals and types of solutions that will work better with on-prem, but that number is decreasing really by every year, but it is no more than maybe 5 to 12% of businesses left. Number 5, automate and test. Implement configuration as code and staging environments to validate changes before production. This is one of my favorite ones because, again, the CrowdStrike problem we had about a year ago, last summer, where all those airlines just started deploying patches and updates and just pushed it out, and everybody was grounded because the systems didn't work. All that happened is people didn't test the patches and updates in a sandbox environment like you should. This is IT 101. When you go to any IT school, any reputable IT school, the first thing they tell you is backup, build a cloud environment, a test environment somewhere, could be just a virtual machine on your on-prem, and test those patches and updates first. See what happens. Run some local tests. Get someone to log into that server, verify that it's still working. They can connect to QuickBooks. They can connect to Adobe. They can run patches, updates, print, scan, whatever they need to do, and verify, yes, everything works good. Awesome. Okay, now we can go to deploy. That problem could have been totally avoided. Number 6, schedule quarterly reviews. Perform complexity health checks every 90 days to prevent creep. And CEOs, owners, this is your job. This is part of your job. If you're not involved in these conversations or you're skipping them sometimes, that's a problem. The lifeblood of your business, in most cases, it is very rare that an organization could live without the IT team working properly. You have to be involved in those meetings. You have to. This is critical. It's vital. And things aren't going to change by IT without you jumping in and questioning like we've just detailed out what should be done in these few areas. So, thanks again. I hope you guys found some good takeaways from this, but complexity multiplies failure points, simplicity multiplies reliability, and that is absolute fact. Cloud migration delivers security and continuity. Offices stay online during low disruptions. Agility drives growth. Faster onboarding of new sites or tools means faster revenue. And regular maintenance prevents crises. Quarterly reviews keep your network lean. Now, a network is like a garden. Left unchecked, it overgrows into chaos. Prune the excess, plant only what you need, and your business will flourish. If today's episodes raised questions about your own infrastructure maze, email me at nickdrafus at i-net.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. I am Nick Dreyfus, and I'm here to help you turn technology into competitive advantage, not liability. Follow the digital dilemma for more no nonsense tech insights, and share the episode with fellow leaders who are ready to cut through the complexity. Until next time, remember, clarity beats complexity, and uptime is absolute money. Thanks again for your time. Hope you have a great day.